So while Liverpool have pulled off some incredible signings in recent years, they've also brought in some shockers. However, some have since recaptured their form since leaving Anfield. Let's take a look at 9 Liverpool flops who have succeeded elsewhere. Christian Benteke. Christian Benteke had been itching to get away from Aston Villa for quite some time, so when Liverpool snapped him up for £32.5 million in the summer of 2015, he must have thought his prayers had finally been answered. His time at Anfield was a nightmare. He scored 10 goals in 42 games and was often found on the bench once Jurgen Klopp had arrived. Since moving to Crystal Palace, his form has improved. Once again, he's the focal point of a side and has returned Palace's outlay of £32 million for him with 17 goals in his debut season. His second highest ever in professional football. Mario Balotelli. Where to start with Mario Balotelli? Practically stuffed down Brendan Rodgers' throat by the impatient Liverpool board in the summer of 2014, who were understandably panicked by the loss of Luis Suarez and the arrival of Rickie Lambert, the former Man City hotshot and amateur pyrotechnician subsequently went and loitered in front of goal all season, showing no real desire to actually put the ball in it. 4 goals later, he was farmed back to AC Milan, where he was even worse, scoring 3 goals in 23 games. However, having signed for Nice last summer, who had helped to revive another troubled maverick the previous season, the penny finally dropped and his 17 goals in 28 games helped to book them a Champions League qualifier. Harry Kewell. Look away now, Leeds United fans. You won't be best pleased by what Harry Kewell's been up to since he left the Premier League. Sure, you already know it. After flattering to deceive during his 4 years at Anfield, hobbling off the pitch at every opportunity, he signed for Galatasaray in 2008. Yep, the same club whose fans stabbed 2 Leeds supporters to death during a UEFA Cup semi-final while he was at Elland Road. Somehow the Australian managed to stay fit during his 3 years in Turkey, scoring 34 goals in 91 games for the club, and helped them to win a Turkish Super Cup. Suso. When Suso was at Liverpool, he was just a young kid who was either stuck to the bench or tossed in with the reserves. Having signed from Cadiz in 2010 at the age of 16, the attacking midfielder went on to play just 20 times for the first team, before signing for AC Milan on a permanent deal in January 2015 for a little over €1 million. Whoever sanctioned that deal is probably smacking their head against a coffee table as we speak, as the Spaniard has gone on to establish himself as one of Serie A's most influential midfielders. It took him a while to establish himself at the San Siro, but under Vincenzo Montella he's taken a starring role, scoring 7 in 36 games last season. Former Milan president Silvio Berlusconi even compared him to club legend Roberto Donadoni, with Gazzetta dello Sport likening him to Arjen Robben. But apparently Brendan Rodgers didn't think he was quite up to the standard of Lazar Markovic. Iago Aspas. Really, we shouldn't be surprised. Iago Aspas did score goals for Celta Vigo before his move to Liverpool in 2013, and he's just continued to do the same ever since he's left. Well, come on, who honestly thought that 3 years after warming the bench at Anfield, where his finest contribution was to show everyone how to take the world's worst corner, Aspas would have forced his way into the Spain squad and would even score against England on his debut. For all the impact he had at Liverpool, he might as well not even have been there. But back at Celta Vigo, he's been on fire, with 44 goals in 89 games. And let's not forget he won the Europa League with Sevilla 3 seasons ago. Victor Moses. Had Liverpool won the Premier League during the 13-14 season, Victor Moses might as well have gone around the entire dressing room thanking his colleagues, because they would have without a doubt carried him to the title. He arrived at the club on loan from Chelsea, predicted he'd score over 20 goals, and managed just 2 as he struggled for form, consistency and first team football. He took in further and unspectacular loan spells at Stoke and West Ham before finally getting dusted off and used by the club who bought him 5 years ago. There was no danger of anyone carrying him to the title last season though. His lung-busting displays at right wing back were essential to Antonio Conte's success. Maybe just don't remind him of the FA Cup final. Brad Friedel. Brad Friedel signed for Liverpool in 1997. Didn't help that it took the club until 2 days before Christmas to secure him a work permit. He was forced to wait until February to make his debut and played just over 30 games across 3 years, finding it difficult to dislodge both David James and Sander Westerveld. Friedel would go on to play almost 600 games in England for Blackburn, Aston Villa and Spurs respectively, where he became the oldest ever player at the latter two. Oh, and Liverpool tried to bring him back to Anfield in 2011 at the age of 40. Andy Carroll. West Ham fans may be divided on whether Andy Carroll has succeeded at the club ever since moving to London in 2012. Has he lived up to his billing as the next Alan Shearer or even first Harry Kane? Clearly not. His goal return is unspectacular and his injury record even worse, but when fit, Carroll is by far and away West Ham's most dangerous striker. The fact that he's preparing for his 6th season at the club shows that they must agree. Fernando Martinez. Fernando Martinez was hailed as a coup when he arrived at Liverpool in January 2005. After all, he'd almost fired Monaco to an unprecedented Champions League the previous season. The former Real Madrid star scored just 8 league goals across 2 seasons at Anfield before packing his bags for Valencia in May 2006. He immediately recaptured his form, linking up well with David Villa and scoring 19 goals in 36 games. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe.